Jack Turner never planned to be in an alien arena. In fact, 5 minutes ago, he was simply walking through the capital market of Korthax, holding a small bag of spare ship parts. He was here on a peaceful trade mission, nothing more. But the streets were crowded, and Jack, trying to take a shortcut, turned into a wide stone corridor with banners hanging on both sides. Strange symbols glowed in red and gold. The air smelled of incense and hot metal. He thought it was just a festival path, until the ground started to shake beneath his boots. From somewhere ahead, a deep horn blew, so loud it made his chest vibrate. The crowd's noise became a roar. Alien voices chanted something in a language he didn't know. Jack took another step, confused. And then suddenly 2 huge alien guards appeared in front of him. They were at least 8 feet tall, with scaled armor and long spears. They looked him up and down, their glowing eyes narrowing. Then one of them spoke into a translator device. "You, the last challenger. Hurry. Arena waits." Jack raised his hands. "Whoa, no. You've got the wrong guy. But..." Before he could finish, one of the guards grabbed his arm like a steel clamp and pulled him forward. The other pushed from behind. Jack stumbled through a massive gate and found himself inside. Stadium. Thousands of aliens filled the stone. Seats all around, chanting, stamping their clawed feet. The heat from the midday suns burned down from above, mixing with the smell of sweat, blood, and sand. Across the arena floor stood a massive alien warrior skin, a dark metallic blue. Muscles like coiled cables and eyes glowing with hunger for victory. In each hand, the warrior held a curved blade almost as tall as Jack. "Hold on," Jack shouted, backing away. "This is a mistake." Unfortunately, the translator strapped to his chest turned his words into something else, entirely something. The crowd apparently loved. They roared even louder. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. "Behold, the off-world challenger boasts of his victory before the first strike." Jack's stomach sank. "Oh great, now they think I'm talking trash." The warrior across from him let out a deep growl and slammed both blades together, sending sparks flying. The announcer shouted again, and the crowd went wild above in a shaded royal balcony. A row of alien females watched closely. Some leaned forward in interest, others whispered to each other. Their clothes shimmered in the sunrobes of silver. In blue, decorated with symbols Jack didn't understand, Jack felt sweat dripping down his back. He had no weapons, no armor, just a worn jacket and a pouch of ship parts still clutched in his hand. A loud gong rang. The warrior moved. It wasn't a walk, it was a charge. The alien crossed half the arena in seconds, blades swinging. Jack's instinct screamed move. He ducked to the side, stumbling over the sand. One of the blades missed his head by inches, slicing the air with a deadly hum. "Time out," Jack shouted, waving his hands. But the warrior wasn't listening. Another swing came at him, faster this time. Jack dodged again, but the heel of his boot caught on something hard. He crashed into a stone pillar. The warrior, seeing an opening, swung with full force. Jack dropped to the ground at the last second, and the blade smashed into the pillar instead. The impact sent a deep crack through the stone, and then, with a roar, the top half of the pillar fell forward. It landed squarely on the warrior's head. The alien groaned, stumbled back a step, and collapsed face first into the sand, unconscious. For a moment, there was silence. Jack lay there, panting, his heart racing like a wild animal. Then the stadium erupted in cheers. The crowd's roar was deafening, they think. On purpose, Jack realized, staring in disbelief. The announcer's voice echoed, "Victory to the offworlder. His cunning move crushes the first champion." Jack sat up, still trying to breathe. All around him, alien hands pounded the stone. Walls in rhythm. The guards who had dragged him in earlier rushed over, lifting him to his feet like he was some kind of hero from the royal balcony. The alien females now watched him with even greater interest. One of them, a tall figure with silver eyes, toward the queen and whispered something. The queen smiled faintly. Jack tried again to explain. "Look, I don't belong here. This was an accident, but the guards misunderstood, nodding and saying, "Yes, yes, he demands a stronger opponent." Very brave. What? No, that's not what I said. It didn't matter. The announcer was already shouting again. Prepare. For the next round, the beast of Korthax awaits. The crowd's roar grew to a frenzy. Somewhere below the arena floor, a deep growl rumbled low, dangerous, hungry. Jack swallowed hard, his throat dry. Oh, I'm dead. Cliffhanger. The sand beneath his feet trembled as a huge metal gate began to rise, revealing two glowing yellow eyes staring straight at him from the darkness. Asterisk, the metal gate rose higher, groaning under its own weight. From the darkness inside, steam hissed out, and a deep guttural growl rolled across the arena. Jack's pulse pounded in his ears. He had seen enough alien wildlife on other planets to know this thing wasn't just dangerous. It was a killer. Two glowing yellow eyes moved forward, then a shape emerged, massive, hunched and covered in thick armored plates like a living tank. Four muscular arms ended in hooked claws, each one longer than Jack's forearm. Its jaws split open, revealing rows of jagged teeth dripping with saliva. The crowd screamed with excitement, chanting a single word over and over. Jack didn't need a translator to know what it meant. It was the beast's name. A loud gong rang again. The beast roared and charged. Jack did the only thing he could. He ran. Sand sprayed behind his boots as he zigzagged across the arena, trying to keep as much distance as possible. The beast was fast, faster than something that size should be. Its claws tore chunks of stone from the arena walls each time it swiped at him. "Think, Jack. Think," he muttered under his breath. He spotted a metal rod half buried in the sand, probably left over from a previous fight. Without stopping, he scooped it up. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. The beast lunged again, jaws snapping shut just inches from his face. Jack swung the rod instinctively, hitting it across the snout. The sound was like metal. Hitting a bell, it didn't even flinch. The crowd laughed at the attempt, thinking he was playing with the creature before delivering the final blow. Jack, however, was just trying to survive another second. The beast turned sharply, all four arms flexing. Jack backed away slowly, his mind racing. Then his boot caught on something, a loose chain lying in the sand. He stumbled, waving his arms to stay upright, and the chain whipped into the beast's path. The creature's front claws hooked into the chain, tangling it around its legs. With its momentum still driving it forward, the beast toppled, sliding across the sand on its side. Jack jumped back just in time as the monster's head slammed into a jagged section of the arena wall. The impact cracked part of its armored skull. With a final groan, the beast went limp, its glowing eyes fading to black. For a moment, the entire arena went silent. Dust hung in the air. Jack stood there, panting, holding the chain in one hand and the rod in the other. He couldn't believe what just happened. He didn't even mean to do it. It was just dumb luck. And then, like a volcano erupting, the crowd roared. The sound hit Jack like a wave, deafening and overwhelming. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. By cunning and precision, the offworlder has defeated the beast of Korthax. The final challenge awaits. Jack's mouth fell open. Final challenge? Are you serious? From the royal balcony, the Queen of Korthax rose to her feet, her eyes locked onto him, sharp, calculating. Beside her, several alien females whispered excitedly, their jeweled headpieces catching the light. Some of them leaned forward, their expressions a mix of curiosity and something else Jack couldn't quite place. The Queen raised a hand, and the crowd instantly went quiet. "Champion," she said, her voice carrying across the arena, "your next opponent will test not only your strength, but your heart." Jack frowned. Heart. What does that mean? The announcer wasted no time explaining. The Queen's champion approaches. The far gate creaked open, and a tall figure stepped into the arena. This one was not like the beast, not wild, not mindless. She was controlled, powerful, and terrifying in a different way. Her black armor clung to her muscular form, etched with silver markings. A long spear rested easily in her grip, the tip shimmering with an energy field that hummed like a swarm of insects. Her eyes, bright, unblinking, were locked on Jack from the moment she appeared. The crowd went silent except for a low, rhythmic drumbeat. Jack's heart sank. He had survived an alien warrior and a monster. But this, she looked like she could end him in seconds. The Queen's champion stopped at the center of the arena. She lifted her spear in salute, then pointed it directly at him. "Fight with honor." "Offworlder," the translator at Jack's chest repeated in a cold female voice. Jack swallowed hard. "Yeah, honor, right?" The gong rang again. She moved. First fast, impossibly fast. Jack barely had time to raise the rod before the spear slammed into it, sending a shockwave up his arms. He stumbled back, but she didn't press immediately. Instead, she circled him, studying his every move. It wasn't just a fight. It was a test. Jack knew if he lost, this crowd wouldn't care that he didn't want to be here. Losing meant death. Cliffhanger. She lunged suddenly, sweeping the spear toward his legs. Jack jumped, but not high enough. Spear clipped his knee, and he fell. The Queen's champion raised her weapon for a final strike. Jack hit the sand hard, the taste of dust in his mouth. The Queen's champion stood over him, spear aimed at his throat. Her breathing was calm, too calm for someone in the middle of a fight. The crowd waited, silent, as if they knew this next move would decide everything. But then something unexpected happened. The champion didn't strike. Instead, she tilted her head, as if listening to some command only she could hear. Slowly, she lowered the spear. "The beast of Korthax will finish him," she said coldly, turning away. Jack blinked in confusion. "Wait, what beast?" A loud, grinding sound came from below. The arena floor began to split open. Dust and sand poured into a deep, dark pit. From inside came a sound, a low, rumbling growl that shook the ground beneath Jack's hands. The smell hit him next hot. Rancid breath mixed with the coppery scent of blood. Then it emerged, a massive four-legged creature. Its body a patchwork of thick bone plates and scarred flesh. Its forelimbs were longer than its back legs, ending in claws curved like sickles. Its head was wide and flat with two forward-facing horns and glowing red eyes that burned like molten rock. Every step it took left deep cracks in the stone floor. Crowd began chanting, stomping their feet in unison. The name of the beast echoed through the air, rising higher and higher. Jack scrambled to his feet. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." The beast roared up, deafening sound that made his ears ring, and charged. Jack ran. Again, the arena floor shook with each pounding step of the monster. Sand and loose stones flew as it gained on him. Jack spotted a section of the arena wall, with jagged spikes jutting out, probably from some previous match. He ran toward it, the beast thundering right behind him. At the last moment, he dove to the side. The beast slammed into the wall with enough force to make the entire arena quake. The spikes shattered against its armor, leaving only shallow cracks. It shook its head and turned, furious. Saliva dripping from its jaws, the announcer's voice boomed. "The beast of Korthax has not been defeated in 20 seasons. Will the Offworlder be the first?" Jack wasn't listening. Yes. His eyes had locked onto something, a chain hanging from a winch near the gate. It looked heavy, solid. The beast charged again. Jack grabbed the chain and yanked hard, pulling it free. From its hook, the heavy length whipped around, hitting the creature's foreleg. The monster roared, stumbling slightly. It was a small win, but it gave Jack an idea. "All right, big guy. Let's dance," he muttered. He waited until the beast charged again, then sidestepped and looped the chain around one of its legs. The creature thrashed, trying to shake it off, but Jack ran around it, wrapping the chain tighter and tighter until both front legs were bound. The beast roared in frustration, lunging forward only to trip. Momentum carried it forward, straight into the jagged wall again. This time the impact was harder. One of the horns snapped, and the creature slumped to the ground. Dazed, the crowd exploded in cheers, chanting Jack's name. Jack stood there, panting, his arms shaking from the effort. His heart was hammering, but a strange thought crept into his mind. They think I'm doing this on purpose. From the royal balcony, the queen leaned forward, her silver crown catching the sunlight. She spoke softly to her attendants, but her eyes never left Jack. The announcer's voice roared again, "To victories. The off-order stands unbeaten. Only the final trial remains." Jack's stomach dropped. Final trial. The far gate began to open. From within, a shadowed figure stepped forward, than any warrior he had seen so far. The crowd went completely silent. The Queen's champion had returned. But this time, she carried not just a spear, but a ceremonial banner in one hand and a blade in the other. Jack realized with a sinking feeling this was no ordinary fight. This was the last step in the deadly mating ritual. And if he won, he wouldn't just survive. He'd inherit every single prize that came with it. Cliffhanger. The champion pointed her blade at him and said, "If you survive me, you will belong to all the females here." The arena fell into a deep, heavy silence. Even the crowd so loud moments ago was now still, their glowing eyes fixed on the figure stepping out from the far gate. The Queen's champion had returned, but this time she looked even more dangerous. Her black armor had been replaced with ceremonial battle gear, layered obsidian plates lined with silver edges that glimmered under the twin suns. A crimson banner flowed from her back, its fabric painted with ancient symbols. In her left hand she carried a long curved blade. In her right, a short spear tipped with glowing blue energy. Every step she took was slow, deliberate, and filled with purpose. Sand crunched beneath her boots. She wasn't rushing. She didn't need to. Everyone in the arena already knew the outcome, or thought they did. From the royal balcony, the Queen's voice carried across the air. "Off-worlder, you have faced my warriors, my beast, my trials. But now you face her. If you defeat her, you will claim the prize no outsider has ever touched." The crowd murmured, the weight of her words sinking in. The prize wasn't just survival. It was every eligible female in the royal court. Jack's stomach twisted. "Great," he muttered. "Win the fight, and I become the galaxy's most unwilling husband." The announcer's booming voice shattered the silence. "Let the final trial begin." Single gong struck. The champion didn't hesitate. She was already moving. Her blade came first, slashing in a wide arc. Jack barely dodged, feeling the rush of wind as it passed his face. The spear followed instantly, thrusting toward his side. He rolled in the sand, coming up just in time to block the next slash with the bent metal rod he still carried. Sparks burst from the impact, and the shock rattled through his arms. The crowd roared, thrilled by the display. But this fight wasn't like the others. There were no lucky stumbles here, no accidents to save him. The champion was smart. She studied his movements, predicting his dodges before he made them. Jack tried to keep his distance, circling, but she pressed him hard. Every strike was faster, closer, more dangerous than the last. A sudden feint caught him off guard. She swung high with the blade, then kicked low. The blow caught his knee, and he dropped into the sand with a grunt. The champion stepped forward, her shadow falling over him. She pressed the tip of the spear to his chest, not piercing, just holding it there. Her silver eyes locked on his. "Yield," she said in a low voice, so soft only he could hear. Jack blinked. "You want me to?" "Quit." Her gaze didn't soften. "If you win, you will inherit all of them. If you lose, you die quickly. Which fate is heavier to you?" Jack's mind spun. Was she trying to warn him or test him? The crowd began chanting again, urging for blood. The Queen leaned forward, her eyes narrowed in interest. Jack gritted his teeth, forcing himself back. Onto his feet. "Sorry," he said, gripping the rod tighter. "I'm not here to die, and I'm not here to run." For the first time, the champion's lips curved into the smallest of smirks. "Good." Then she attacked fast enough that Jack barely saw the movement. The fight became a blur of sand, steel, and flashing light. Jack ducked under a spear thrust, swung the rod toward her head, only for her to block with the blade and counter with a spinning strike. He had to use every ounce of his reflexes, diving, rolling, sidestepping just to stay alive. The crowd loved it, the noise building to a fever pitch. Finally, Jack saw his chance. She lunged, and instead of moving away, he stepped in close. The rod caught the shaft of her spear and twisted hard, forcing her weapon out of line. In the same motion, he hooked his foot behind hers and shoved with his shoulder. The champion stumbled only for a heartbeat, but in that moment, Jack swung the rod upward, catching her chin. She dropped to one knee. The crowd gasped. Eyes widened. Jack froze, breathing hard, the rod still raised. The champion looked up at him, sweat glistening on her brow. Then, slowly, she lowered her blade to the ground. "You have passed," she said quietly. "Cliffhanger, the announcer's voice exploded into the air. "The Offworlder is the victor. The Queen will now present the prize of all prizes." The arena erupted. The roar of thousands shook the air like a living storm. The sound was so loud Jack could feel it in his bones. He stood there, breathing hard, sweat dripping from his hair. The champion still knelt in the sand, her head bowed. Her weapons on the ground, a sign of surrender. From the royal balcony, the Queen rose slowly, every movement graceful but commanding. The sunlight caught her silver crown, sending flashes of light across the arena. Instantly, the entire crowd went silent. "Offworlder." Her voice rang out, carrying over the hushed stadium. "You have done what no outsider has ever done. You have defeated my warriors, my beast, and my champion. By the laws of Korthax, the prize is yours." Jack frowned. "Prize? Can we define prize real quick?" The Queen's lips curved into a slow smile. She raised her other hand, and a set of wide golden doors at the far end of the balcony swung open. From inside emerged a line of alien females. They came in all shapes and colors, some tall and sleek with shimmering blue skin, others shorter with feline features and patterned markings across their cheeks. Their clothes were elegant silks and jeweled veils, their eyes fixed on him with curiosity, amusement, and something more primal. The crowd began chanting again, a single word repeated over and over. Didn't understand it, but the tone was clear. They were chanting for him. The Queen spread her arms. "As champion of the mating trials, you may claim any and as many as you wish from the royal court. They will be yours, bound by blood and oath until death parts you." Jack's eyes widened. "Hold on, you're saying the Queen?" Cut him off with a slight tilt of her head. "It is law. To refuse would be to insult Korthax tradition. And no man survives such an insult." His mind raced. Around 20 females now stood before him. Some looked shy, some confident, but a few were clearly fighting the urge to smile. The champion, now standing again, walked to his side. Her voice was low enough for only him to hear. "You should choose carefully. A hasty choice can bring endless trouble, but so can no choice at all." Jack glanced at her. "You're really not making this easier." The Queen stepped forward, stopping just at the edge of the balcony. Her silver eyes locked onto his. "Tell us, Offworlder, who will you take as yours?" The arena waited in total silence. Jack's heart pounded. He knew every word he spoke next would be remembered forever in this world. But before he could answer, one of the younger alien women suddenly broke from the line. She walked straight toward him, ignoring the whispers of the others. She stopped just a step away, tilted her head, and spoke in broken English. "I choose you, human." The crowd gasped. Even the Queen's eyebrows lifted slightly. Jack stared at her, completely thrown off balance. "Wait, that's not how this works, is it?" The Queen chuckled softly. "Perhaps in your case, it will." Cliffhanger. The Queen leans forward and says, "Then human, perhaps you shall take them all." Asterisk. The ceremony ended, but the tension did not. Jack was led out of the arena through a long, torch-lit hallway. The walls were carved with scenes of past champions, towering alien males holding their chosen mates close, surrounded by riches and feasts. None of them looked remotely human. 2 armored guards walked ahead of him, and 2 more behind. Champions stayed at his side, silent but watchful. They emerged into the royal palisade, immense structure of black stone and silver metal, its halls echoing with the sound of distant drums. The smell of exotic spices drifted through the air. Jack was taken to a vast chamber lit by hundreds of floating lanterns. The walls were draped with shimmering banners, and at the far end stood a massive bed carved from a single piece of crystal-like rock, its surface layered with soft furs. "This is your night chamber," the champion said, her voice calm but with a trace of something Jack couldn't name. "Here, the Queen will present those who have chosen to join you." Jack raised a hand. "Wait, chosen? I thought I was supposed to choose." The champion's eyes glinted. "You underestimate how quickly news spreads. Some have already decided for you." Before Jack could respond, the golden doors opened. One by one, the alien females entered. Their footsteps were soft against the polished floor, but their presence filled the room like a rising tide. Some wore ceremonial gowns, others light silk, wraps that clung to their figures. Their eyes, silver, gold, violet, held curiosity, excitement, and in some cases, hunger. The Queen herself entered last, wearing a robe of midnight blue that shimmered like water. She moved with slow elegance, her gaze fixed on Jack. "As law demands," she said, "you have the right to accept or reject. But remember, a rejected offer can turn loyalty into vengeance." Jack felt the weight of every stare in the room. A tall woman with feline eyes stepped forward first. She touched his arm, her claws barely grazing his skin. "I will guard you at night and warm you when the suns fall." Then a smaller, silver-skinned girl stepped forward, her voice soft as a whisper. "I know human food. I can make it for you." Another approached a warrior with markings down her neck. "I will give you strong children." Jack's mind spun. This wasn't just about him. In this culture, accepting them meant responsibility, protecting them, providing for them, representing them, was a lifetime bond. The champion stepped closer, leaning in so only he could hear. "You can take one or two, or all. But no, this choosing all will make you powerful, and many will want to take that power from you." Jack looked at the Queen. Her silver eyes seemed almost amused. "What will it be, off-worlder?" she asked. The room was silent. Every heartbeat felt like a drumbeat in his ears. Jack took a deep breath, I think. Cliffhanger. Before he could finish, the Queen raised her hand and said, "No human. Tonight they will choose you." The Queen's words hung in the air like a blade suspended by a thread. "Tonight they will choose you." Jack stood frozen, surrounded by alien women whose eyes studied him like he was both treasure and mystery.
Ow.
The room was silent except for the faint hiss of the floating lanterns above. One by one, they began to move. The silver-skinned girl was first. She stepped close, touching her forehead lightly to his chest, Korthax sign of acceptance. "I will stay by you, human," she whispered. Next came the tall, feline-eyed warrior. She looked him up and down, as if measuring his worth, then placed her clawed hand on his shoulder. "Your victory proves you can protect. I will follow you into battle or bed." Oh. Then the others came in a wave, some shyly, some boldly each, making a gesture, touching his arm, pressing a hand to his heart, brushing against his side. The room filled with low murmurs and the scent of their strange perfumes. Jack realized something. None of them seemed afraid of him. In fact, there was trust in their eyes. That was strange, considering he had just fought their champion, their beast, and their traditions. Finally, Queen herself stepped forward. Her robe shimmered in the lantern light, her crown casting tiny stars across her face. She stopped, so close that Jack could feel her breath. "You understand," she said softly, "that by accepting them, you accept the burden of their lives. You will be protector, provider, and mate. If you fail, you will be hunted not by enemies, but by those you swore to protect." Jack met her silver gaze. "And if I accept all of them?" The Queen's lips curved into a slow smile. "Then you become the most desired Dand, the most dangerous male in Korthax history." He looked around the room. Every face was waiting. Every set of eyes holding its own story. He could choose one or a few and make his life easier. But something inside him stirred an unwillingness to leave. Is anyone behind after all he'd been through? Jack took a deep breath. Then I choose. All who wish to come. The room went dead silent. The guards exchanged glances. The champion's eyes widened slightly, and the queen laughed. It wasn't mocking. It was delighted. So be it. From this day forward, you are Korthax Mate Lord. No one may challenge you.
Oh.
Without challenging them.
Oh.
The alien women's murmurs rose into excitement. Some reached for his hands, others touched his shoulders or leaned against him. The silver-skinned girl smiled warmly. The feline warrior bared her teeth not in anger, but in something close to pride. But Jack also saw something else in the shadows, men watching, whispering. Not everyone in Korthax would be happy about this. The queen turned to the hall and raised her voice. Remember this day. An off-order has claimed the trial and taken the prize of all prizes. The drums began to pound. The alien women gathered around Jack, the scent of their perfumes mixing with the heat of the lanterns. Jack allowed himself a small grin. Well, this is going to be interesting. Ending twist, from the balcony above, a figure slipped away. Into the darkness, an exiled prince, the queen's own brother, whispering to himself, "He won the females today, but I will take them from him tomorrow."